Yo, how's it going guys? Welcome back to another video. So I was going to record some footage on Hypixel Bedwars, but this happened. Well, I mean, that's not that bad. I can just go on Bedwars practice. Well, actually, I'm not going outside. Instead, we're going to be playing on one of the greatest Bedwars servers of all time. Truly, the Bedwars servers with the proest of the pros, the maturest of the maturest, and me, someone who would just not be able to compete in this kind of environment. Today, we'll be playing on Jartek's network. Alright guys, so I just realized that I'm able to get 1 minute watch time out of people without actually starting the video, so you know, let's just start the video, I guess. This might be difficult to believe, but some people who play Bedwars are actually really stupid. Those specific people are the types of people that completely throw the game away after you break their bed. These people will either try to suicide your bed or jump off the edge so you get no finals. There are two main reasons why this idea is really bad. The first reason is because you'd still have an opportunity to clutch the game, and the second reason is because you're supposed to be my fucking final kill. The first thing to do when your bed is destroyed is to observe the enemy. I'm going to separate this into 3 different situations so you can understand what to do. Let's say in situation 1, the enemy is far away from you. Usually this is when you're late into the game, so hopefully you should be able to get a lot more resources. Try to keep as far away from your enemy as possible and run from base to base collecting resources. Prioritize golden apples and iron swords. Iron swords are very good when you're a final because not many people buy them as a normal kill. However, if you don't have iron armor, you should try to get that before getting an iron sword. I think apples are probably the most useful items when you're a final kill because without them it would take ages to heal. Try buying golden apples before fighting anyone because if you fight someone on low health then you're basically just dead, you know, you're dead. Anyway, if anyone has armor better or equal to yours, then you should just run away. It's not really worth the fight. But if they do keep chasing you, then try to knock them in the void if they won't leave you alone. Speaking of knocking people into the void, you can also buy items like knockback sticks, and they can be very helpful if you have bad armor and the player has better armor. Fireballs are also extremely useful because you can use them to bypass people, which helps you escape risky situations. Bedwars has a fireball practice, so if you want to learn how to fireball jump, you can go there. It's extremely easy. Try to keep running at all times. Once you're at a base, it may seem safe, but there's probably still someone trying to kill you. Okay, now you've gotten all your gear with iron and gold, you're going to want to think about getting some diamond upgrades. Please bear in mind that I'm not necessarily saying these instructions in order. You could use emeralds as your first rush. I'm just telling you how to use them as a final. Anyway, diamonds. Since you're a final kill, obviously you don't need a trap. Some very smart people think that traps still work when you don't have a bed. When you're a final kill, you're going to try and play as defensive as possible. Buying protection is very important because it means you take damage slower, therefore giving you time to escape in dangerous fights. Usually on my clutches, I try to get at least protection 2, but you can get whatever you want. Even protection 4 if you want to be a horrible player. Sharpness is also very important because when combined with an iron sword, it's extremely powerful. A sharpness iron sword is literally better than diamond. Normally I buy my diamond upgrades in the order Prot 1, Sharpness, and Prot 2. But again, this is up to how the game is going. Do what works best in your situation. If one player in your game has Obsidian and you're a final, I would recommend getting Maniac Miner 1 or 2, but usually I would buy Prot and Sharp first. Diamonds are an essential part of the game even when you're not a final, so make sure to remember that they exist. Now, one of the most important resources when you're a final kill is emeralds. When buying emeralds, you're going to really have to think about who you're fighting. What kind of armor do they have? What are their diamond upgrades? Are they actually good at the game? Most of your bed breaks will be with emeralds when you're a final, unless there's nobody at the base. There are 2 main ways to break beds with emeralds, with a pearl and with potions. Now when I say potions, I mean any kind of potions, not just speed. Speed by itself isn't very helpful for breaking beds, but it is helpful for killing people. The more speed you get, the better combos you can get on people. Anyway, with potions, I would recommend buying at least jump boost. This way, it's easier to bypass people. Invisibility potions are also helpful if you want to bypass people without getting their attention. Now going on to ender pearls, to break someone's bed with an ender pearl, you're going to have to lure them out of their base. From there, you can just pearl into their bed and break it. However, I would usually use an ender pearl to try and avoid dying from being knocked off the map, because this way you can basically just have a second life. Now that I've covered how to break a bed in the game, I need to mention how to actually get the final and win the game. If you and your opponent have been final kills for a long period of time, you need to get a tracker immediately. Your opponent could try to rush you with invisibility, which would be a very easy victory for them. If you and your opponent have just only became finals, try dominating mid as much as possible so they have no emeralds to get a hold of. From there you can try to improve your armor, or maybe buy a pearl for a guaranteed victory. And that's situation 1. Situation 1 is the easiest situation, by the way, and already it's really complicated, so yeah, stay tuned, it's gonna get much more complicated than this. Alright, so now we're moving on to situation 2. Situation 2 is when the enemy has broke your bed and is directly next to you. My plan in situation 2 is to get out of my area immediately. You need to get as far away as possible from the person trying to kill you. This means that you're going to have to try and find some way to get to another base and get stacked. The problem with this situation is that when the person next to you breaks your bed, most of the time it's really early game. So since your resources are limited, you're going to have to really think about how you can get away. One way to figure out how much time you have is to look at the opponent and see what defense he has. If his defense is made from wood, this means that he's already spent full gold and it's going to take him longer to get iron armor. Or maybe even if they bought ladders or an iron sword. I tend to only save up for iron armor on my first rush, but if I lose my bed, I prioritize gaps. Your health is very important when you're a final, and you can easily be cleaned up when you're low. It takes some time for your opponent to get iron armor, so in that time you should be able to escape. If your opponent already has iron armor and you can't afford it, then maybe try and buy chainmail. Just try to do everything in your power to stay alive and escape. Whatever you do, don't break his bed as a final, it's extremely risky. Bridging up and jumping on your opponent can be a really good way to get some momentum. Just always remember that the goal is leaving the area. Once you've left the area, or failed to, you should try to find another base to get resources from. Once you're in this position, you should try to get iron armor and an iron sword. From here you can repeat the emerald and diamond process from situation 1. Remember to keep your next rush as the person who initially tried to rush you in the first place. Most of the time you're always going to want to play as safe as possible when you're a final, and situation 2 portrays this very accurately. Now, situation 3 is when an opponent is at your base. You have 2 options when your opponent is at your base, either fight or flight. You should always try to check your opponent's armor before fighting them. If they have worse armor than you, then you can try to fight them off. If not, then I would run away. This is when quick buy comes in handy. Buying items like iron swords or golden apples can help you take them out without dying. Iron armor is also possible, but remember that it costs a lot of gold. You can also buy knockback sticks, which are very helpful when your opponent has better stuff than you. In order to decide whether or not you're going to fight or run, you should think, am I able to kill this person? It's a very simple question, and if you don't have matched gear, then the answer is probably no. When trying to escape, you can use multiple ways of getting away. The most obvious one of these is just running away from your opponent, but when you do this, it allows them to chase you. Buying fireballs can help you out a lot because you can not only fireball jump away, but you can also fireball the bridge so your opponent is unable to run after you. Another way you can escape is by trying to trick your opponent and make them think that you've left the base. This is quite hard to pull off, but it is also very effective. Here you can see me sneaking behind a base and successfully tricking someone. Situation 3 is by far the most difficult situation, but it's still possible. Bedwars is a very surprising game, and when you think you're about to die, there still might be another way. In summary, you should try to play the game as safe as possible when you're a final kill, and try to use all your items and resources to your advantage. Basically just do anything to win the game. There's probably a lot of stuff which I haven't covered here, and the main reason for this is because Bedwars is a game learned over time. Just watching a video like this isn't going to make you amazing. I'm only giving some advice and giving people a head start if they want to get better. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe because it took forever to edit. On top of that, I've had tons of mock exams coming up and I really appreciate the support I get from my viewers. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.